So Article 9 about information requirements asks companies to provide information that is adequately conclusive and verifiable. So that means that, let's have a quick look at the definition of adequately conclusive. It states that the evidence must lead to a clear and reliable conclusion, strong enough to remove reasonable doubt. It should be based on objective facts, not on assumptions, verbal claims, or generic assumptions. Here, an important question to ask yourself is, can someone reviewing this reach the same conclusion without needing to guess or assume? And then for verifiable, it means that the evidence must be independently checked by authorities, auditors, or third parties. It must have transparent sources. And here you can ask yourself, can an auditor or regulator trace this back to its source and confirm it's valid without relying on my word alone? So here it's just really important to set up a process that's clear and transparent, not just for the auditors, but also when, for example, your colleagues take over from you now or later, that you should have a process that's transparent and makes sense for everybody in your organization. That's just the best practice. And it's also making sure that you have this Article 9 requirement fulfilled. First of all, you need to do, of course, the deforestation check, where the question is, did any deforestation or forest degradation occur on this plot after the 31st of December 2020? Then you need to look at legality. Is the commodity proven to be produced in full compliance with all applicable local, national, and subnational laws? Then you have a question on human rights and indigenous rights. So is there any evidence the plot or production activities infringe indigenous labor or human rights? For country context, you need to consider, do context in the country, such as governance, corruption, or deforestation trends, increase the likelihood of non-compliance? For the supply chain integrity, you need to ask, is there any credible risk of mixing, relabeling, or loss of traceability along the supply chain? And then you have the last one, which is other relevant information. So you need to consider, is there any external evidence, such as NGO, media sanctions, or disputes that contradict the supplier's claims? So you need to define when a risk assessment is triggered. And that means that only standard and high-risk countries do full scope. You need to preset your risk buckets, so deforestation, legality, social and human rights, country, context, etc. These are the things that I also mentioned that you need to always include in your own methodology. Then you need to align your scoring. This is where it gets really kind of practical. So you need to do binary for hardware. For example, did the supplier provide legality or origin data? So did they provide geolocation data, yes or no? There, the answer always needs to be yes. If it's no, then it's a risk that cannot that needs to be mitigated by getting that data. Otherwise, you cannot place the product on the market because you cannot do satellite checks. But it can also be multi-level for contextual risk. So, for example, when you have the risk of corruption, you can make it 1 to 5 because there's, for example, the transparency index, which ranks countries on a scale of a 1 to 100, and there it's more multi-level. You need to make a clear internal checklist as well, which includes required docs, satellite sources, and supplier surveys. And you need to design escalation rules, such as what happens when you have missing coordinates, low document quality, contradictory claims, or unclear mixing.
So let's review together, first of all, a small playbook that Canal Chocolate uses in order to approach mitigation. So firstly, they recognize that as part of their business, it is part of mitigating together with their suppliers the risks. So it's not only a theirs problem or ours problem. So when the risk is flagged, the first step is that they reach out to the supplier and they ask them to check if they have missed some answer or if they answered something wrong. So we give them the opportunity to update. If not, then we give them the opportunity to explain. So maybe explain why this risk is high. So for example, even actual deforestation evidence that we saw could be mitigated if the supplier has a valid permit allowing them to perform this deforestation, which could happen for sure. If the first step, though, is not enough, then we proceed with asking some additional information and verifications. And of course, if this also doesn't work, we have to move on to some correction plans. Now, let's see how we would mitigate these two examples. We saw that the first high risk that we had was country deforestation and degradation. So in order to fix this, they created some plans with their producers. For example, they made a zero degradation commitment that includes not making any unjustified land expansion, and if any expansion, first get some assessments in place. And they also set a strict no burning rule in the area, because then they run the risk of creating some fire that could be uncontrolled. And then they also made a plan on how the farm could use some more sustainable agriculture practices in order to reduce the need for new land. This could be, for example, soil fertility or adding plants that are native in the area in order to preserve the environment.